Hello my Sugarplums, welcome back to my channel. Guys, if you're interested to see how I make this absolutely gorgeous resin bag, stay tuned and make sure you watch all the steps. And also just a heads up, this video is going to be divided into two parts because it was way too long, so I had to divide it into two so that way you guys can, watch it and not be completely bored. But I'll put the link for part 2 at the end of the video. Make sure you check that out to finish watching the whole process. Now this kit I got on Amazon. Yes guys, as you always know, I shop on Amazon. It's easy, it's convenient, and yes, I am the Amazon girl. I wish I was sponsored or anything like this, but whatever. This kit come with the silicone mold itself and also the frame for it. Also they give you two different stripe for the handbag itself. Now what I like about this mold is because it's already have the little plastic attached to it, because I have seen a lot of people struggle on how to add the plastic. Usually they just give you the frame and you have to buy the plastic itself. I actually had purchased a roll of vinyl myself, but when the kit came and it was already attached, I was like, wow, that's very convenient, so you don't have to worry about this. So I'll make sure I have the link for this particular set for you guys in the description box below, so make sure to check that out. So one thing I realized when I bought this is because the kit itself came just with one silicone mold, and I was like, I'm not about to just go and make one side of the purse and then wait and then make the other side. So I had to wait and purchase another kit, which is gonna be two different, two kit, but the same from the same company, the same kit, but I had to buy two of them, so that way I have two silicone molds. So when I make my purse, I have the two silicone mold that I can make the purse at once and not have to wait for one. So this is one thing that you have to keep in mind. If you're gonna buy the one kit, make sure that that it's only one silicone mold that's gonna come in it, not two. So I have two frame, but two silicone mold and two frames, so which is not a bad deal. I believe the kit itself, it's like $26 or $27. I'm not quite sure, guys. I don't quite remember, but it's about that price. And you also can purchase the frame itself with just like the strap and the frame by itself without the silicone mold, and it's cheaper. I think it's like $10 or $12 cheaper. So since you already have the mold, you don't have to keep buying the same kit with a different mold in it. You can just buy the frame by itself. So now I have my mold. I decided I'm gonna make a purse, and I wanted to make a purse that is absolutely gorgeous, but I wanted it to be like almost like a marbly type of color, and I wanted it to be almost like coffee, like a coffee type of color. So I'm gonna be using my coffee color alcohol ink, and I also use mica powder. I can't remember from what company I got this. It was like one of those boxes that have like a bunch of simple little plastic simple on them, and this is the color coffee. I'm also gonna go ahead and mix two different gold for this, and I'm gonna do white since I wanted it to be like almost like a marbly color. So I'm gonna be doing that. But one thing I'll say right now, guys, is that one, I had mixed way too much resin because I didn't know how much resin the mold itself gonna hold. So I had mixed about 500 ml. Like 250 part A and 250 part B, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go ahead and mix that much, and if I have any left, I had my domino mold sitting there. So since I liked the color I was gonna make, it was like a coffee color, so I was gonna put any leftover resin in my domino, so I couldn't make a domino set with the same color, and I end up using way too much. Just a heads up, guys, all you need is probably like 300 ml, and it's still probably gonna be a little bit too much but just to be on the safe side, I'll say 300 ml, and make sure you have like another mold sitting there. So if you have any leftover, you can just pour in that, but you don't need that much. it really doesn't take a lot of resin, which was absolutely completely surprising for me. So, but yeah, that's one little heads up. And also because I had mixed the gold, even though I mixed just a little bit of the gold, and I was doing like a dirty pour since I was gonna be doing a marble color, the gold kind of had take over the whole thing, so my coffee color kind of got lost in it. So because of that, I had to go and do like a second, pour after I demold, and you'll see that in part 2 of the video. But I love absolutely how the whole thing turned out. Again, for the white, I use the Just Resin paste, white paste, because I wanted to have like a very opaque white. That's what I use. But yeah, I only use a little bit of the gold, guys, and it did take over a lot. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you want to make, if you are going to make the same color that I'm making, make sure you cut the gold probably like half, or even like, yeah, I'll say half. Just make like half of the gold, because my little cup is like 200 ml. Those little cup hold like 200 ml, so cut it by like 100. You don't need that much gold, otherwise it's gonna take over the whole thing. So this is me right there. Like I say, I'm doing a dirty pour. I'm just gonna pour my my gold and my white in there, and I'm just gonna do 2 little mix with my silicone stick, so that way the whole thing can mix but not really mix, because like I said, I wanted to do a marbling color. But that's this part. Now all I did is after I finished doing this, I'm just gonna go ahead and spray some alcohol on top of it just to pop some bubble. I will use my torch, but on very, very low setting, and I also keep away from the edges, so that way I don't have any heat around the edges, because I can't tell you how many mold I have lost that way, where I accidentally, had my torch on the, on the side of the edges, and then the whole thing just melted into the resin. So when I was demolding it, it was completely, garbage. So yeah, so this is one thing that you have. If you're not comfortable enough with, the torch, don't use it. You can just use like a heat gun, and then again, even with the heat gun, just keep away from the edges. Now, because when I was pouring it, I was like, what happened to my coffee color? This is supposed to be the main, this was supposed to be the main character of the whole thing. I don't see the coffee color. All I saw was gold. I was like, oh, wow. So I went in, I had a little bit of the white left. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour some white. And then so that way when I go later on and do my marbling with the coffee color itself, I still have white on it. So you'll see me just go right there and put some white. And then I'm going to be using my torch to kind of disperse the white and, make it less... I don't want lines of it. I want it to be more like fan away. So that's what I'm going to be doing. And then I'm going to go ahead and let this cure. I believe I let this cure for like 2 days before I demold them, because those mold, even though, when you tend to demold them, it's not completely hardened. So you're still a little bit bendy, even I found out. I always have like the same type of issue with when I do my domino boxes. I'm not sure if it's the type of mold or it's because like it's not very very thin. It's a very like almost like thin width. So whenever I demold them, it's still, even if I leave them for like a full 24 hours, it's still a little bit bendy. So I let it sit inside the mold for like 2 days, 48 hours before I remove them, because I was going to sand anyway, because like I said, I didn't like the whole gold color on it. I wanted to have the coffee color, which is what I wanted. I wanted to have a marbling coffee color on it. Now, I had the idea because one of the stripe they sent, it's almost like a marble coffee color, and I liked it. So I'm like, I want to make the whole purse kind of look like the same, type of color. and I was completely disappointed when I poured and I saw the gold taking over. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna need to sand it and then, you know, dome the whole thing, doing my little marbling on the side. So, but if you don't want to go through the same process, the same step that I went through, make sure that you cut your gold by half and make sure that your coffee color is more, you know, potent. Like, add more alcohol ink on the coffee color, because I use the color latte and caramel, and then I use the mica powder coffee. So make sure those are more potent. Add more alcohol ink and more mica powder, so that way your coffee color is more, you know, potent. It's not gonna let the gold taking over. But yeah, that's what I did, and then I'm gonna go ahead and let this cure for 2 days. After 2 days, guys, I'm gonna remove it because I had a little bit of like overspill. Like I said, I didn't know how much, you know, epoxy that mold particularly was gonna take. So I kind of went a little bit heavy-handed when I was pouring, so I had a little bit of overpour. So I'm gonna let this completely cure, and then I'm gonna go over the edges when I demold it. I'm gonna go over the edges with my deburring tool. First, I'm gonna remove all the extra, you know, pieces that is like was over spill, and then I'm gonna go ahead and use 120 grit paper, 200 grit paper, 400 grit paper to sand, and I'm gonna sand just the top and the edges, not the side, because the side I decided I want the side to have like texture on it. So that's one thing. I wanted to have like the front part and the back part of the purse to be nice and smooth, but the fourth side of the purse, I wanted to have like texture on it. And one way to do that is just to, you know, don't mind your resin when you're doing your doming or your top coat for it. Let the resin, you know, drip and create whatever texture you want to create. That's what I did. So this is me right there, removing, demolding everything. And I will say the mold itself is very, very nice. It's heavy, it's sturdy. So I know this for sure. I'm not gonna lose that mold anytime soon, unless you burn it, you know, by, you know, you use heat on it. You can be sure this mold gonna last you for a long time because it's nice and sturdy. Now this is me. I'm gonna go around, you know, all the edges, removing the excess, and then I'm gonna go ahead and sand that. I'm not gonna show you, you know, the sanding part, guys. It's pretty much, you know, standard, easy, and I don't like, you know, filming when I'm sanding because it's kind of inconvenient because of all the dust and everything. So one thing, make sure you wear your mask when you're sanding. Make sure you have your protector. It's very, very important. Now this is after I sand the whole thing, guys. So this is gonna be the end for part 1. Make sure you click on the link right there for part 2, guys. I'll see you on part 2, and then we'll finish the whole thing. So guys, I'll see you next. Make sure you click on part 2. I'll see you guys. Bye. I love you. Mwah.